Hello, and welcome to another video. Hello. So, today we are going to continue on talking about relationships. This one might be a little bit all over the place because what I really want to talk about is walking away. But I have some other points that I want to touch on, and I'm just going to allow the Holy Spirit to flow this message wherever. Because I did a talk for you guys, I think it was sometime last week, talking about men. And my purpose, so I'm talking to women and we're talking about men, okay? So my purpose in doing that is because I want you to really understand the depth of this. You know what I mean? I want you to understand that when I talk about marriage, because when I speak of relationships, I'm speaking about marriage, okay? When I speak in relationships, I'm speaking about a relationship that is going towards marriage. Do I expect you to just walk out on the street, meet somebody, and the next day, y'all married? No. But if that does happen, hey, I'm not against that either. But I'm talking about a relationship that's going towards marriage. At no point in any of these conversations or the conversations that will come or the conversations that are in the past am I talking about you and your boyfriend, you and your fiance. I like to say that because I am seeing a lot of women, and I do mean a lot of women. You are stuck in this bubble of your boyfriend, the boyfriend bubble. And the Lord, I told y'all in that last video, He won't let me not stay out of my business. He won't let me not come to you with these conversations. So let's go into the first point. The amount of effort, the amount of time that it will take for you to see change, you actually can't afford to pay. You can't afford to pay it. And let me tell you why you can't afford to pay it. Because you're not going to pay it. It's not going to be like a payment like with money. That's not how you're going to pay. You think you're going to change this man? That's not how you're going to pay. You know what you're going to pay with? You're going to pay with your youth. You're going to pay with your time. You're going to pay with your talents. You're going to pay with your energy. And you see this. I'm not telling you anything that you haven't seen before. And some of you guys are going to watch this video and you are the woman who has paid with all of that stuff. And you know I'm telling the truth. Okay? You're going to pay. And for women, when I speak of youth, go with me here, because I'm not talking about youth as in like appearance. I'm talking about youth as in your vitality. I'm talking about youth as in the freshness of your mind. I'm talking about youth as in like the freshness of your days. You know what I mean? You're going to pay with that, trying to change a man. Can you imagine that? Could you imagine having all of that effort and all of that time actually put into a marriage? Something that's not just going to benefit you in the end, but ultimately benefit your children and your children's children. We're talking about a marriage. I'm not talking about you playing around wasting time with no man who don't want nothing. Okay, but a good time. And when you no longer can provide a good time for him, he'll find somebody else to give him a good time. And it's easier. Come on, I'm already off my notes, but that's okay. It's easier for men to move. We are not men. It doesn't matter what society is telling you. We're not men. We don't operate the same. It's easier for men to pull themselves out of one situation and go in another one because it's easier for them to shut down. It's easier for them to pretend. Not women. You'll see a woman right now. You could see a woman who had a hard time. You can see a woman who had a hard time. You got all these kids. You have had a hard time. And 99.9% of the time, 100% of the time, let me not even joke, it's because of a man. We be wasting our time with men who's not your man. And let's talk about this. I don't have this in the notes, but while I'm in this loop, this is how the conversation gonna go. I already feel it. While I'm in this loop, we get away from this mindset of you get to choose your husband. If you choose your husband, just know that you're gonna have to do that kind of work that I was talking to you about. Okay, that hard back breaking work. You're gonna have to do that. And I'm going to tell you why here in a second, at least what I think to be why, because I'm not God, right? At least what I think to be why, but you're going to have to do that kind of hard back-breaking work. We, especially in the Western world, girl, we think we get to pick it all. It's all up to us. I'm telling you, marriage is not one of those things where you want it to be all to you. Lord, you do the picking. You do the picking, you do the bringing, you do the sifting, you do all that. You just show it to me. Just show it to me, speak to me, and show me. I don't want anything that you have not ordained. And a lot of time we're doing the picking. Oh, he don't look like I want him to look. Oh, he ain't got the job I want him to have. Like, you're doing all of the picking, and your picker is wrong. Look at you. Look at all of the men that you've picked. They're all wrong. You've got 5 kids by all the men that you picked, and it was wrong. And yet you still are doing the picking. Imagine that. Imagine not surrendering your picker to the Lord, who really knows the exact type of man that you need. Imagine not surrendering that and just keep on picking wrong. Imagine going through your life. And I say this all the time. A lot of y'all think that we're going to stay young forever, and we're not. At some point in time, you're going to need someone with enough substance sitting next to you who could bring you a glass of water if you were stuck in bed sick. At some point in time, you're going to have a man who has enough substance next to you that'll push your wheelchair if need be. At some point in time, you're going to have a man with enough substance next to you who will pass up buying himself a pair of shoes to buy you some medicine that you need. At some point. And am I proclaiming that, we'll have health issues at the end of our life? I'm not saying that. I'm saying, however, you need to begin to look at your life through the lens of, I need people next to me who have enough substance. And girl, get out the clouds, because a lot of y'all living in the clouds and you need to get out. So, like I said, the amount that it would take for you to really change a man, you can't pay it. You can't pay it. You be at the end of your life realizing you can. I have seen it so many times that it actually vexed my spirit. And I believe that's the reason why the Lord is making me talk about this. It's because it bothers me so much that I'll see a beautiful woman. I'll see an intelligent woman. I'll see a woman with a master's degree. I see a woman with a doctorate degree. Literally a beautiful woman, drop dead gorgeous woman who just gone off into Stupidville for a man who he's like, and I'm not even trying to be funny, who's less than the standard of what she is. Imagine that. You're around here begging a man to do something for you. Imagine that. You have to learn to walk away. Let's move on to the next thing. And I've said this a lot. I'm going to keep saying this too. Hold on. Look, I got this wig on, so I had to do like this. Hold on. Stay out the bed. I should have put this first. Stay out of the bed. You are not going to be able to understand anything that I'm talking about. None of it will even matter to you. You'll know that you're doing the wrong thing, and you'll keep doing it because you've been in the bed. Stay out of the bed. I did a video for you guys yesterday talking about friendships and why I'm a bad friend, why I really don't have that many friends. It's a divine placement, if you know what I mean. However, I spoke at the end of that video about soul ties. And, this is something, like I said, the Lord has shown me, just gave me so many visual things about what this looks like that I'm also passionate about it. Soul tie. And I spoke in that video, so go watch it, about soul ties being like a tether. And today when I was going about my day this morning, doing my morning walk, the Lord told me what a tether is. So I know what a tether is. I told you in that video, but he gave me a better way to explain to you what a tether is. If you go on your device right now, you can actually I have my iPad right here. I can tether my iPad. I can turn off the stop this from connecting to Wi-Fi and use my cellular device, and tether my iPad to my iPhone. My daughter does it all the time. When we go take our morning walks, her iPad does not have any internet. Oh God. Her iPad does not have any internet. It doesn't have any service. It can't play anything. But once it's tethered to my phone, it gets all of my phone's power. When you start getting yourself sleeping in the bed with people, tethering yourself to all these men, they get all of your power. You wonder why you're not productive. You're giving this person your power. Okay? And I know some of you have gone off on the deep end and you think, when I say power, I mean your God-given assignment. There's something in you that all of that energy is to be devoted toward. But you spending your time, wrapped up in this man, and it's too much for you to pay. It's too much for you to pay. When are you going to walk away? Knowing that you actually can't pay the price. When it's too late? And then people wonder why. You wonder why women, and maybe you are this woman, you wonder why you'll see this man, he'll move on, he'll be with someone else, and you're just so bitter. You are just bitter. You're angry. That anger and that bitterness just kind of, it's like a weight, and it goes down the inside of you. And everybody knows it. You're not hiding it from anyone. A lot of people start turning to witchcraft because you think that you have some sort of control doing that, okay? And really, you can't afford to pay that price either. You cannot afford to pay that price either. But I'm telling you, the wrong relationship will ruin your life. You cannot afford to pay the price. Learn when to walk away. So, like I said, stay out of the bed, and I mean stay out of the bed. Don't get on side of the bed, okay? Don't get in the bed. Don't rent a bed. Don't turn the car into a bed. Stay out of the bed. When I say stay out of the bed, you know exactly what I mean. Stay out of the bed. None of that stuff. None of that stuff. Because what you're doing is you're giving away so much of yourself that when you get a flag, when the Holy Spirit gives you, this, showing you stuff about this person, like he ain't got no money, he ain't never had no money, he's a thief, he knock you upside your head, all these things, yet you ignore all of them for a moment in the bed. Stay out of the bed. And I promise you, it's something that I'm working on. Me and the Lord have to really work on this. I want to tell you, how do you get yourself disconnected? But I'm telling you right now, if you're not already connected in that way, because you've been rolling around the bed, rolling around on the side of the bed, whatever, don't do it. You can ruin your life. Some people never recover from rolling around in the bed with the wrong person. You understand that? You understand that's how serious this is? You don't want yourself tethered to someone who God didn't tell you to be tethered to. Okay? And the next thing I have is you need heaven to back you up. When my husband and I'm saying this because everything in marriage is not going to go smoothly. That's not how this goes. We're not talking about smooth sailing here, okay? But I do know that heaven backs me up. What does that mean? That means that how God sees me in heaven, I am allowed to mirror that here on the earth because I'm aligned with heaven. What happens when you don't choose to be aligned with heaven? Well, you can't mirror heaven on the earth. And you don't want that. And you especially, since we're talking about relationships, you especially don't want that in your relationships. Because you've decided to choose a man. You've decided to marry someone that God didn't ordain you to marry. And just because you have kids with this person, that doesn't mean that that's your husband. That just means that you decided to sleep with them and you decided to marry them out of your own doing. That does not mean that's your husband. Trust me, ask some women in your life. Some people will be honest and let you know, I married this man and I knew I shouldn't have married him. Because I couldn't figure out, how would I ever walk away? How will I ever gather the pieces of my life if I don't have this with me? Trust me, it's worth figuring it out and walking away. I can say that. I'm sure in saying that. But you're not going to be able to walk away and half do God and half do yourself. I spoke about that yesterday in the video. You're not going to be able to play both sides of the fence. You're going to have to be one side or the other. And I feel like that's a reason why a lot of people don't walk away, because you're going to have to go to the next level of devotion. You're going to have to go to the next level of faith. And you can't find it in you to do that. You know why? Because you're realizing that you've paid a lot. You've paid a lot. So the next thing I'm going to say is stop dragging men down the aisle. And this is just going right along in this conversation. Just because this has been your man for 5 years, a lot of people, and I'm hearing this now, girl, help me. Girl, help me. I almost got myself in this trap so I can speak about it. Okay? Just because you drag a man to counseling and the counselor says you guys are free to be married, oh, we went through marriage counseling, that doesn't mean this is your husband. That doesn't mean this is your husband. Just because you drag him to counseling, that doesn't mean it's your husband. Just because he asked you to marry him doesn't make him your husband. You know that, right? You know that you have the ability to choose, right? And when I say choose, you have the ability to know and choose from that which you know. Not what you know, but what you know. Just because a man that you've been waiting on to proposes to you, baby, you need to get back in your right seat. You're just so desperate. Some of you just take anything from these men. And I'm not gonna say any name, but I remember this was a long time ago when I was like a teenager when I saw this show. It would come on TV, and this lady, she wanted to be married so bad. The man did not want to be married. You probably know who I'm talking about. She's a beautiful woman. The man did not want to be married. Girl, I saw the show like sometime last year, and she told me something, well, marriages and all that. Like, marriages and everything. See, because the man will get you to change your mind about how you really feel about marriage, but you'll still have that empty space inside of you. Because this man isn't covering you if he's not your husband. That's not the way that God designed marriage. I know what you're saying out there. I know what people are saying, but that's not the way that God designed marriage. So you don't have protection in doing that. So there's still pieces of you that are void. They have voids. And I know some people are like, well, a man can't make you happy. A man cannot make you happy. No one can make you happy. But absolutely, he is the man that God has for you is going to aid you in your happiness. He's going to aid you in your peace. He's going to aid you in your well-being. You're not going to be struggling. Girl, imagine dragging a man down the aisle and then you're going to be dragging him to work. Okay? You have to drag him and do everything. That's exhausting. And women, you can't go watch that video. Women have a hard time with this because you think that men are like us, and they're not. Women can fall in love with a man. And you better watch yourself. You're going to skin your knees. You keep falling, okay? You can fall in love with a man. You can fall in love with, how he treats you. Women can fall in love with men. Men do not just, they don't be going just head up. No. They'll qualify. They'll watch you and they'll qualify. Why haven't you been watching? Why you can't watch and qualify? Why are you so desperate? They'll watch you and they'll qualify. And you think that you can just drag this man along and, and do little things. Women start being very they start doing things that are very sexual. Because if another man can see me and he'll want it, then they'll make this one right here want it. And you're just throwing pieces of yourself to the wind. You think you're not a man. And it don't work like that. Men, I would not. And I have said this to people in like real life before. Okay. I would not marry a man that doesn't think very highly of me. Because like I said, women, we're nurturers. We grow in love. We grow things. We think about a baby, okay? The baby comes in as a little seed. It sits in your belly. By the time 9 months is over, you have a full-grown baby with all these features and all this beauty. And then once the baby gets here, we take it a step further and we nurture the baby all the way into adulthood. That's what women do. Men don't do that. How much effort the men put into producing this baby? Poop. And there we go. And I'm not saying anything bad about the man because my husband is lovely. My husband woke up at nighttime just as much, if not more, than I did with our daughter. But I'm talking about the principle of it, okay? There's not very much work needing to be done on the man's part in that way. They have a job to play, and their job is very serious. But you can't make them do their job. You can't make a man. You're trying to build a man. This ain't build a bear. You can't build a man. You cannot do that. You can't do it. And I want you to be bold. I said all that, and we're just going to close this out. I just want to have a little chat with you. I want you to be bold enough to realize that you do have the authority to walk away. You have that in you. You can walk away. You can walk away, especially, girl, if you're not deep in there. You can walk away. You don't have to take any old thing. Some of you you keep looking down at the time, you keep looking down at the clock, at your watch, and you're like, girl, I wanted 3 kids. I wanted that. I need a house. I need this and I need that. And you're just settling for the first old thing that comes your way. And it's literally what it is, an old thing. Or you're like me and you're digging in the past. I'm going to link that video for you too. You're like me and you're digging in the past. Not realizing that God has something beautiful for you. Something new. Something that will truly fulfill your heart's desires of how you should be treated by a man here on the earth, right? And some of you have taken your desires, what you truly want, and you've put it up on a shelf because you think those type of men that they just don't exist. This type of stuff that doesn't exist. And instead you have conformed to what the man wants, and it's none of what you want. Imagine that. Imagine conforming. Imagine giving away your destiny for a man that won't even marry you. Imagine tethering yourself to a man, giving a man control of your mind, will, and emotions. Tying yourself to a man who won't even marry you. Imagine that. And that's not what I want for you. I want you to be bold. I want you to walk in your true power. And there's a lot, I'm not talking about true power as in this whole feminist movement. I'm not a feminist at all. We need men in our lives. And some of you have really gone off the deep end where you say you don't need a man, but then you want children. If you want children, let's stop beating around the bush and accept the fact that, yes, Lord, I actually do want a man as well. Now, do I know how this person that is me, how can a good husband exist with this person that is me? Now, that's a conversation that you can have with the Lord, but stop pretending like you don't want a man just because you can't find one doing the things that you're doing. Perhaps you should change some of the things that you're doing. And some of the things that we're doing is actually hanging around the wrong people, and you've really got the wrong mindset altogether. You have to begin to change those things. You want something new. You want something different. You have to do something different. You can't keep doing the same old thing and saying that you want something different. Is it hard? Absolutely. You roll around in the bed with every man you meet. Of course it's going to be hard. But I've literally sat here and seen women, like they tell me in my face, you just met this man. Next thing you know, you're sleeping with him. 3 years pass by and you're worn down. And I'm like, girl, what's going on? And you tell me this laundry list of stuff that happened to you all on the account of you getting intertwined with this man. And I'm thinking like, dang, sis used to be at the top of her game. What happened? She used to be so peaceful. What happened? And I'm telling you, the wrong man, it will happen. It will be more than you could pay. More than you can pay. And you don't want to pay more than you don't want to pay with your youth, girl. You don't want to pay with your time, with your talents. You can't get that stuff back. You cannot afford to pay that price. Walk away. And I know some people act real crazy when you walk away. Okay? They start pulling out. Now, you talking about somebody knocking you beside the head and we talk about walking away. People like to do crazy stuff. Domestic violence is truly a thing. But I'm telling you, and I'm not speaking about that, but I'm telling you about this. When you are dating, when you are looking to entertain these people, you need to have all those things in mind. When this man shows you who he really is, and you can't pay attention to that if you're rolling around the bed, you need to believe it and walk away. You're not going to be able to walk away if you've been rolling around the bed. That's not how we operate. That's why I'm saying don't do it. And I'm also saying don't do it because the word simply says don't do it. I have been reading, like, I'm going to go through my entire Bible, right? I've been reading in all of Leviticus. The Lord's telling the Israelites not to do things. And he doesn't give this long, elaborate explanation as to why. You know what he says? I'm the Lord your God. I'm the Lord your God. I said, no, I'm the Lord. I said, no, I'm the Lord. Don't do this. I'm the Lord your God. He didn't give these long, drawn-out explanations. Do I have a long, drawn-out explanation for you as to why you shouldn't be rolling around the bed? I don't. The Lord said no. Now, I can see in life as to why he would say no, because some of the things that I've experienced and some of the things that I've seen. However, the long, drawn-out explanation as to why that's not going to work if you do that, I can't tell you. I'm not God. I'm not God. And when I say God, I mean Jesus Christ being Lord. Okay? I see a lot of women, and this is really disheartening, who you're switching to new age practices. You've gone off to serve other gods. And not because you don't believe in God. Capital G, capital O, capital D. Not because you don't believe, but because God hasn't given you this thing that you want. And most of the time, it's a man. Can you believe that? Most of the time, women switch to being in positions where they're practicing witchcraft for love. Could you imagine going straight to hell for love? When God wants to give you that, he wants to give, but you have to follow his decrees. And there's countless stories. I mean, I was reading the other day. Y'all know, first of all, I love Solomon. Okay, I love Solomon. I love his story. I love his daddy. I love his dad. David's story in the Bible is so beautiful. Solomon was the wisest man according to the Bible. But you know what the Bible also says once you keep reading? That he was led astray because he loved strange women. He loved strange women, and the strange women had other gods. And they really infiltrated his heart. They took him out of his position. Because once we're in relationships, you don't realize that, but we can do that to each other. That's why you want to be careful. And trust me, a man will knock you off your post before you get to knocking him off his. And a lot of you have switched to manipulating. That's what witchcraft is. You've switched to being manipulators. And you think you're a master at it until you wake up and realize how much you've paid and that you still don't have what you want. But you've got disaster all around you because you've manipulated your way into things. And I don't want that to happen to you either. I see that happening a lot. Where you're carrying around crystals for this broken heart from a man that God told you to let go. And I don't want that to happen to you either. You don't have the right perception about life because you've allowed this man to come in your life and literally ruin it. You don't even have the right perception about your children anymore. The children aren't thriving because you've let this man come in and ruin your lives. And sadly, you think that surgeries will fix this? No. You think that money will fix this? No. I've seen men manipulate women with money. Good women, good, smart, beautiful women with money. And I don't want that to happen to you. Learn when to walk away. And if you're thinking about walking away, guess what? Walk away. Because a good man, if it is your man, if it is your husband, when you walk away, you walking away won't stop God's plan. And I'm not telling you to walk away with the mindset that, oh, he gonna be back, because that's manipulation. I'm telling you to walk away with the mindset of, God, you know what's best for me, and you know exactly how to deliver it to me. Because God's that good that he will literally disrupt your life and disrupt the life of the other person if this is the person that you're meant to be with. You're not going to have to go out here, girl, searching for a man. What you look like looking for a man? And men, they're very smart. They know the women. They know what kind of women they can. It's almost like they can smell the desperation. Baby, you're not trying to be desperate, and you're also not trying to be falsely not desperate. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you get in a relationship, you're clearly interested in someone. You've already given a little bit too much. You've already been rolling around inside the bed or whatever, in the car, however, whatever. You're giving a little bit too much, and then you're mad because he ain't called you. So then you start doing things like talking to other people, sometimes even in front of him, to make a man jealous. We're not talking about manipulation here. I'm talking about a knowing that places me into position. and a willingness to walk away when I realize I'm out of position. Because my children, and even if you don't have children right now, your future children, they're depending on you. The future generation is depending on you to play your role, to run your leg of this race. And you can't do that if you're trapped up with a man who's not your husband. Okay? As always, if you have a question, ask a question. Okay? And I'll see you in the next video.